Perception. Perception. There's a quote by Benjamin Franklin that's one of my favorites, and you may have heard it. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I may remember, but involve me, and that's when I learn. All right, so tell me and I forget. Teach me and I may remember. Involve me and I will learn. When you are involved, information is information, but it's just information, it's just knowledge until you are involved, until your thought patterns are engaged, until you're stimulated, and until that when you're involved, then you're starting to think. The neural synapses occur and information, good morning, information starts happening. So rather than tell you a lot about inside your head coaching, because inside your head coaching is about the drivers that we have for making decisions in our business and in our lives. And that's kind of the shadow story of our personal story, and our business story is inside your head. What's really going inside your head? What's really the thought patterns that are happening? That's what I want to tell you about inside your head coaching. The rest, I want to give you a coaching principle that you'll be able to apply. Hopefully will be informational to you. It will be inspirational and influential in your lives. We don't see through our eyes. We see through the filters in our brain. We don't hear through our ears. We hear through the formed storyline in our mental belief systems, conscious and subconscious. We see what we want to see. We hear what we want to hear. And it comes from that inner dialogue, that self-talk, the who we are, and what our perception is, what our perception is of what people are saying to us, how we're processing it, and what are the experiences that we're bringing to the words that others are saying. And that's what perception is. Talking point on your handout today, our brain is a great storyteller. Using neuroscience in coaching and consulting helps us identify the origin and thought to our brain. Emotional intelligence, of course, is understanding and managing our emotions, and understanding and navigating the emotions of others in conversation. Neuroscience is how the neural pathways develop and how they function for you during your business, during your decision making. Last summer, I went to New York for a coach conference, and I went to the the Metropolitan Museum. And there in the gift shop, I picked up a book by Amy Herman called Visual Intelligence. And visual intelligence is basically about what we're perceiving, how we're perceiving it, what we are doing with that information. And her job she's an attorney and an art historian, and her job was to take an array of professionals to the museum, and they would look at a painting. You can see some of the pictures even here. You would see someone in the room on that painting, and they would study the painting. So her professional team, some of her students were the Department of Defense, the CIA, and the Police Department for New York City. Can you imagine the perception that was needed for them on a crime scene, on an investigative process that they're doing? What would be important? So they would notice each part, that person in the corner, the child on the chair, what kind of wood the table would be made from. Is there a ring on their finger? What is their hairstyle? What is the era? But not just that, what you're perceiving visually, but what is the story behind that? What's the emotion? What's the expression of the artist? What are they seeing that's different? So when they would go back to the departments and they would take all the information and they would share what they saw and even what they assumed to be true. Number 2, assumptions can be harmful whether they are formed by subjective information or from facts. What we observe or what we assume to be true is what we're going to process, is what we're going to keep in our brain, what we're going to keep for our filters that we're going to use later for a conversation and what people are saying to us in business and relationships. Now, perception, of course, personally, those perceptions are about what we, like relationally, personally. When you go home and your perception, now how important is that, right? Your perception, are you noticing something your spouse or loved one, special someone there that you notice. Are you observing what happened in their lives? Did they get a new haircut, new suit? If you don't, you know that that's not a good scenario, right? So your perceptions are important. Now, let's layer the perception and the art of perception into a leadership skill format. When I talk to clients, and at the beginning of a session, at the beginning of a team meeting, I'll ask them questions. What's working in your organization? What's missing in your organization? What do you want to change? What do you want to keep? What's part of that mission statement? What do you want to savor? What do you want to add to? And usually I will hear a repetitive word or phrase. And that repetitive word or phrase is what I'm going to pick up, and I'm going to ask them more about that, because there's an expression, there's a shadow story in that word or phrase that they're using, a random conversation they're just explaining. You know that there's something there that's deeper. And so I initiate an exercise called double clicking. And double clicking is obviously the mouse, you double click and you want to know more information. So you delve that information out, you dig it out, and you drill it down so that you understand it fully. And whenever I do that, you get to understand then a deeper meaning of what makes them, what drives them, what makes that tick for their process of their thought process for their business. So imagine the increased information that you get by others contributing what they're seeing, and others that are what they're adding. What are you assuming? What are you adding into for that storyline that you're developing? Double clicking eliminates confusion. It eliminates assumption. It builds a commonalities platform that opens your mind up to discovery. Discovering employee engagement, discovering the conversations you want to have, discovering the neurological resources that you have for your business, for your vision for your business. Now, Tuesday Social Club, here we are. Pretty new. Give me some words that you would describe what Tuesday Social Club is. We're going to double click on this word. We're going to do my locution style of speaking is interaction. It's delving, it's grabbing information from all of you, because you are that valuable component for every group that you're in. And you think of the Tuesday Social Club, what word comes to mind?
Learning.
Learning. Any other words? Camaraderie. Okay. Oh. Rotary. How do I spell that?
You can just abbreviate if you need to.
Yeah. There's two M's. Is there two M's?
I would.
Any other words?
Innovative.
Innovative. Okay.
Professional.
Professional. Sorry. You can read it. Other words?
Connections.
Connections. Anyone else?
Networking.
Networking. Okay. Anything else? So we have these words. Now we're going to double click on one of the words. Will, pick a word.
Don't go with the one you said.
I know, I can't. Let's go with innovative.
All right. So I'd like for you to define this word innovative. Write it on your paper, because expressing it in verbal and also writing takes a different part of your brain. So I would like for you to put it on your paper and give the definition of what you think it is, and then we're gonna double click on that. Innovative. Innovative. Innovative.
That's definition, right?
Okay, so give me a couple of your definitions as you're verbally expressing what that definition is to you, so that others, when we build this common platform, it'll change how you see this word.
It brings to mind to me just beginnings. This is the beginning of a new venue.
Beginnings,
Creating.
creating. Yeah. Someone else. What did you write down? Initiative. Okay. Anyone else?
Novel concept.
A novel concept. Advancement. And you can tell that everyone had a different idea of what one word meant. So when you're doing that and you are creating novel concept, it builds a platform of understanding. And when you are understanding is standing under the same reality as someone else. When you stand under the same reality as someone else, what else happens in a group?
You learn more.
You learn more. It opens up the creative places in your brain. It creates trust. Trust produces and expresses and stimulates oxytocin, dopamine. It allows the neurochemicals to change in your brain so you can think clearly, you can express clearly and be open for communication, relationships, trust in your business. Now, how can this benefit on your paper? How can this benefit your business by even double clicking, a concept of double clicking? How can this change your business? Some ideas. And what word would you use for your business? As you're leading a team, managing a department, or even your own business as a business owner. What is the benefit of double clicking on just one word? What changed here in the room? It was almost like this, it opened up. It became the camaraderie happened. Anyone like to elaborate a little more on taking back a concept to your business? What would it do? How will this perception principle change what you're doing in your business? How will you see it differently by double clicking? Employee engagement, they say that the Gallup poll is like 33%, only 33%. Fully engaged, partially engaged, not engaged, different organizations. But that's the latest Gallup poll. So we have almost 70% not engaged. When we're able to open up our ideas, and we are able to, from leadership down, how many are small business owners? When we're able to open up those ideas for employees to talk and just have a one-on-one, a trust, then the amygdala part is not engaged. That's the prefrontal. This is the executive brain that is allowing us to make decisions for creativity. So just sharing and just being under the same understanding as one another and hearing, seeing differently, hearing differently could make a big change. Give me some feedback. Give me a takeaway that you are hearing today. I can almost see the wheels turning in all your heads of the thoughts that you're thinking. Open that up. Share what that is.
Listening more.
Listening.
Having more open minds to hear what your employees have to say, or
Yes.
actually listening to their input making them feel more important and more team-oriented.
Yes, exactly. I have several materials on trust and an arc that will, again, the trust. If you can trust someone, if you're partially engaged in trusting, or if you're fully engaged, or if you're open to experimenting and being creative, that it changes from just hearing words and listening, obeying, doing what you're told, to moving you into a new place of trust and a new place of opening up your creativity, opening up that pattern of thought. So how are you going to be hearing and seeing from now on in your perception? Has it changed? Is there a takeaway today? I want honest.
I think for me, it's more bringing self-awareness and emotional intelligence more into the business model of things. And I think that's, sometimes they're separate. You don't look at it as those daily interactions and really the marketing appeal more than, how does this drive the bottom line? I think,
Yeah.
you said employee engagement and all those factors into one, serving its purpose in the business model.
Yeah.
So it's comprehensive viewpoint there.
That's good that we don't have to separate the emotional part or the neurological part, the scientific part of who we are. We can layer it on our leadership platform, our leadership skills, and force that to, and stimulate that, and know that when you know what's really happening in your brain, your brain really needs something to do. When you know what's happening, you can see, oh, okay, am I closing down? Am I feeling being threatened? Or am I opening up? And if you know that, and you can feel that, and you can sense that, you become more aware of that, then you're able to say, okay, I want to change it. So you decide to change it. You decide to see something different. You decide to hear something different, and know that it's got to change. Neuroplasticity is changing the way our cell structure is in our transcription area of our genes. Our template genes are those that we're born with, the height, the eye color, the hair color. But the transcription genes is 50%. You can change the cell structure of your gene, the genes that you have, by just changing the way you think. That's neuroplasticity. And that's hearing differently, it's seeing differently, it's deciding to make a change. And you can say, well, that's what I always did. That's how I've always been treated. That's how always I thought. Well, what is that connecting? What changes is that making within you? When you know who you are, others will know who you are too. Yes, sir.
I think people don't like to talk about it, but the truth about it is that most people come to work with a lot of personal issues that are never discussed. And it really affects their results of what their job is. So if you are to engage, as we talk about, it's more of in a different setting, because you got to be careful as a manager, owner, whatever. When you delve into somebody's life, they came there, they filled out an application for a job to work there. But when you engage further into their life, you're finding out what's happening at home, about baby, mama, wife, third wife, fifth wife, second husband. There's a lot. And ultimately, if you're a small business owner, your mindset is to be result driven. You're trying to get a job done, but you're also trying to make the team concept work, like you care.
Yes.
You want to know what's going on and what can I do to help, or what can we do together. But I'm sure we're not the only one, but finding employees that to really engage and really want to do what they're doing is like finding a needle in a haystack, because everybody's got problems. So, in speaking of what you're talking about, it's double clicking is always, to me, it's just a second to think about what you're going to ask and how you're going to ask it, and you almost have to think, well, at the same time, if they say this, how are you going to respond? And if they say that, what are you going to respond to? So that's a big issue for me as an operations guy, trying to engage folks to get involved and initiative and things like that, what I said, but, you know, the ultimate for me is, on this side, is you gotta get a job done, get it done, making money doing it, you know.
And there's always that balance, and I think you're right. You're taking a concept of personal life, and you want to separate it because you've got stuff to do, and that's not your job to coach or counsel someone or have that therapy session, so to speak. I find that business owners, small business owners, are very perceptive. They really know what's going on with their employees. They know if it's the A game today or if it's, they're struggling. So sometimes just taking 10 minutes and saying, hey, what's going on? Because that can really eliminate even an accident, a liability. If it's really something that's bothering them, just to say, 10 minutes of a conversation to someone, say, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? Can I help? Or you have my card. I'm a coach. I do a lot of intervention with people for small business owners. Any other comments or questions and thoughts? I think I've done my time here. Anything else? Thank you all. Appreciate your contributions, your responses. Thank you. Good?